There will come a moment in your life, not marked on a calendar, not signaled by the sound of alarms or the glare of spotlights, but a quiet, piercing moment. A moment where the world stands still just long enough for you to hear the voice within. The voice that has always been there, beneath the noise, beneath the doubt, beneath the excuses. It will ask you a question, not softly, not kindly, but like a storm shattering the calm. Will you keep kneeling before your fear, or will you rise? Because until you stand, truly stand, not with your back curved in hesitation or your knees trembling with second guessing, but with spine straight, soul ignited, and purpose unshakable, you will never rise. This world doesn't reward the comfortable. It doesn't favor the cautious. It bows to the brave, those who choose to stand when their legs feel broken, when their name has been buried, when their past is screaming, "You don't belong here." But listen closely. Every name you now revere, Edison, Ford, Lincoln, Carnegie, they too heard that voice, and they too made a choice. They stood. You see, people love to romanticize success, but they rarely talk about the parts that ache, the rejections that rip your pride open, the loneliness that comes from walking a path no one else understands, the nights when your dreams are heavy and your body is tired, and the only thing left to carry you is belief. Belief is the oxygen of progress. Without it, your mind chokes, your ideas suffocate, and your future dies quietly in the graveyard of hesitation. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief is not wishful thinking. It is not some abstract whisper of positivity. Belief is war. It is a fight against every voice that ever told you you can't. And it begins with you choosing to believe before the evidence shows up. You cannot wait to see the road before you take the first step. You must step into the unknown and build the road with your own hands. That is what vision is. Not the ability to see what is, but the audacity to imagine what could be, and the discipline to create it. So ask yourself, what vision are you serving? Not what goal, not what paycheck, not what title. I'm talking about the thing that keeps you up at night, that makes your heart beat faster when no one's watching. The calling, the legacy, the mission you would die for, but more importantly, the mission you must live for. Clarity doesn't arrive. It is carved. It is hammered. It is forged in the furnace of action. People wait for clarity like it's a package being delivered. But clarity is born when you start walking, fumbling, trying, falling, and trying again. The fog lifts only when you dare to move through it. And purpose? Purpose is not given. It is chosen. You don't find it, you decide it. And once you do, once you lock your eyes on that purpose, everything else becomes background noise. Doubt becomes irrelevant. Fear becomes familiar. Discomfort becomes fuel. Discipline, then, is the language of commitment. It is the daily vow you make to your future self, the promise that you will not betray your calling just because today feels hard. Because listen, it will feel hard, every damn day. But the pain of growth is nothing compared to the agony of regret. The pain of saying no to temptation, of waking up early, of doing the work no one sees that pain is fleeting. But the pain of never trying, of knowing you had more inside and never gave it, that pain lasts forever. You were not made to drift. You were not born to live life like a feather tossed by the winds of other people's opinions. You were made to decide, to cut through distraction with the blade of discipline, to say, this is who I am and this is where I'm going, whether anyone claps or not. Success is not sexy. It is not Instagrammable. It is not a polished photo with perfect lighting. It is dirt under your fingernails. It is sweat in your eyes. It is nights when the world sleeps and you are still grinding because your dream refuses to let you rest. Understand this. Action is the currency of achievement. You cannot think your way to success. You must move. You must act with urgency, with intensity, with faith that your steps are building something even when the results haven't arrived. Just like Henry Ford didn't see the assembly line when he started, he saw a broken system. Just like Walt Disney didn't see Disneyland, he saw a mouse and a dream. They acted, and in their actions the path unfolded. The modern world has confused knowledge with power, but it's applied knowledge that creates results. You can read every book, listen to every podcast, and quote every legend, But until you act, your mind is a museum of potential, not a factory of progress. So what will you do? When the alarm rings before sunrise, will you rise with it? When your plan falls apart, will you adapt or abandon it? When life tests your resolve, will you lower your standards or raise your intensity? You are not a statue carved by others. You are the sculptor. You are the hammer. You are the strike and the stone. And if you choose, really choose to stand, then nothing can keep you kneeling. But make no mistake, the moment you stand, life will test you. It will throw storms at your spine and whispers at your confidence. It will bring betrayal from places you trusted. It will lure you with shortcuts, flatter you with praise, tempt you with mediocrity. And this is when you must remember, comfort is the cage, but courage is the key. You were not put here to live a soft life. You were put here to rise, to roar, to leave behind footprints so deep that others walk in them long after you're gone. So stop asking for signs. Stop waiting for certainty. You are the sign. You are the signal. You are the movement the world is waiting for. Stand. The world doesn't need another echo. It needs a voice. Your voice. Not the one dulled by politeness or buried under fear, but the raw, untamed sound of truth that comes when you stop apologizing for being powerful. That moment, the one where you stop shrinking, stop second-guessing, stop asking for permission, that's the moment the world begins to move around you. But power doesn't arrive with a whisper. It shows up when you burn the bridge to who you used to be. When you stop treating your potential like an option. When you no longer flirt with excellence, but marry it, commit to it, bleed for it. You see, somewhere inside you is a version of yourself who already knows the way. The problem is, you've been feeding the wrong voice for too long. The voice of doubt, the voice of laziness, the voice of maybe later. But let me be clear, indecision is a thief. It steals from the future and disguises itself as safety. Indecision killed more dreams than failure ever did. You think you need more time, but what you really need is more truth. The truth that you are not too late, that your past does not disqualify you, that broken does not mean buried, that the fire within you is not gone only waiting for oxygen. This is not about motivation. This is about awakening. Motivation fades. Emotions shift. But awakening? Awakening is permanent. It is the irreversible moment when you see yourself clearly and can never go back to the person who used to settle. You want freedom? Then build structure. You want impact? Then embrace discipline. You want peace? Then stop negotiating with chaos. Too many want the results but despise the process. But hear this, you don't get the reward without the requirement. Andrew Carnegie didn't build an empire by dabbling. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb by waiting to feel ready. They weren't lucky, they were relentless. The secret was not talent. The secret was fire. Obsession. The kind of drive that makes you keep showing up when the doors are locked, when the world says no, when your own mind whispers give up, and you answer back, not today. Because one day of discipline is worth more than 1,000 days of hope. One action in the face of fear will teach you more than 10 years of thinking about it. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not dreams, they're decorations. Dreams should stretch your soul, terrify your comfort, and command every fiber of your being. And when people laugh, good. When they doubt, better. Let their disbelief be your symphony. Let it be the music that fuels your march. But beware, success comes wrapped in resistance. You will be tested. Not once, not twice, relentlessly. The world will ask, how bad do you want it? And your answer cannot be a sentence. It must be your sweat, your persistence, your refusal to quit when quitting seems justified. Resilience is not a gift. It is a muscle. It is built every time you keep going when the finish line is nowhere in sight. It is built in the moments no one sees, the tears in the dark, the conversations with yourself, the choice to rise when staying down would be easier. Everyone wants to win. Few want to prepare to win. You must become the kind of person who can carry the weight of what you're asking for. You don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you are. If you want a life of greatness, then build a mind of greatness, a heart of greatness, a schedule of greatness. Every minute you spend distracted, envious, or complaining is a minute stolen from your destiny. And your destiny is not a passive thing. It does not fall from the sky. It rises from your spine. Stop chasing approval. Kings don't beg. Queens don't shrink. Legends don't explain. They execute. They show up. They deliver. They command through character and lead through conviction. This is your war, not against others, but against who you were yesterday. So you must sharpen your weapons, not of steel, but of thought. Your mind is your battlefield. Every day, you must defend it. From the news, from the critics, from your own doubts. What you feed your mind will either fertilize your dreams or poison your progress. Read what uplifts you, speak what empowers you. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your potential, not your past. You are not a slave to your circumstances. You are not defined by your family tree, your income, or your mistakes. Your past is a place of reference, not residence. It is your lesson, not your label. Do you think Abraham Lincoln became great because of where he started? Number? He became great because he refused to stay there. You will never rise until you choose to stand. And when you do, when you rise with fists full of purpose and lungs full of belief, the world will not hand you a throne, but it will move. It will feel you. It will test you. It will resist, then yield. Because nothing can stop the human spirit once it decides to be unstoppable. But let's speak plainly now. Standing up is not a pose. It's not just an act of defiance. It is a complete rebellion against who you used to be. It is a renunciation, a burning of the bridges to your comfort zone, to your excuses, to the weak language that kept you safe but small. And don't get it twisted. Playing small doesn't serve the world. Hiding your fire doesn't keep others warm. It leaves everyone cold, including you. Every time you hide your greatness because you're afraid to make someone else uncomfortable, you betray the gift inside you. Every time you lower your voice in the presence of louder mediocrity, you are complicit in the crime of your own suppression. You were not born to whisper, you were born to resound. And yes, standing will cost you. It may cost you comfort. It may cost you approval. It may even cost you relationships with people who love the version of you that stayed kneeling. But hear this. Losing what keeps you small is not a loss. It is liberation. Don't confuse peace with passivity. Peace is earned not by surrender, but by sovereignty. The kind of peace that comes not from avoiding battles, but from knowing you faced every one of them and didn't flinch. The kind of peace that comes when your inner world is stronger than the noise outside. Because that's what rising truly is. It's not climbing some invisible ladder to success. It's standing taller within yourself. It's owning your breath, your choices, your destiny. It's the calm in your gut that says, I don't need to be louder, I just need to be clearer. And clarity is power. A mind without clarity is like a sword without an edge, all show, no strike. You want to rise? Then first decide who you are, not what the world told you, not what your past implies, who you really are. Because once you are clear, truly clear, the world begins to shape itself around that clarity. Opportunities align. People respond. Resistance reveals its purpose. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. But clarity requires silence. It requires time with yourself, away from the scroll, the screens, the noise, not to escape the world, but to hear your own voice again. Because the world will sell you 10,000 versions of who you should be. It is your job, your duty to reject them all until you remember your truth. And when that truth arrives, when it burns in your chest like a beacon, you will no longer need motivation. You will become motivation. The people we admire most weren't born extraordinary. They became so by choosing clarity over chaos, purpose over popularity, integrity over imitation. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years imprisoned, yet his spirit never kneeled. Think of Viktor Frankl, finding purpose even inside the horror of concentration camps. These were men stripped of everything, but still stood tall within, still chose meaning, still chose light over bitterness. That is real power. And that power lives in you dormant, maybe, forgotten perhaps, but never gone. It waits for the moment you stop chasing permission and start writing your own damn declaration. A declaration that says, I will no longer wait for the right time. I am the right time. I will no longer fear failure. Failure is my forge. I will no longer dilute my voice to be digestible for the small-minded. I was not born to fit in. I was born to stand out. And when you speak those words, not just with your mouth, but with your spine, your stride, your spirit, the world will hear you. Even if it resists, it will listen. Because the energy of a person who knows who they are is unshakable. And that kind of energy, it bends reality. Understand this. You are not here to find yourself. You are here to create yourself. You are here to stand in your own name, not your parents' expectations, not society's roles, not your past shadows, but your name, the one only you can define. And if you're waiting for the world to agree, you'll be waiting forever. Stop seeking validation for a vision they can't see. It wasn't given to them, it was given to you. That fire in your chest, that restlessness in your bones, that whisper that won't shut up no matter how tired or broken you feel, that's not noise. That's your higher self calling you back. Answer it. Don't you dare go back to sleep. Don't you dare lie down in the tomb of your potential. Not after everything you've survived. Not after all the nights you spent aching for more. Not after all the moments you almost gave up but didn't. You think those moments were wasted? Number. They were proof. Proof that you were always meant to rise. And now that you see it, now that you've felt it, you can't unknow it, you can't go back. You've seen too much, endured too much, hoped too deeply to ever again settle for a life of quiet suffering. That numb kind of living where you pretend fine is enough and dreams are things that happen to other people, it's over. Because here's the secret, no one tells you. Pain isn't what breaks you. Comfort is. Comfort is the true enemy. It lulls you. It seduces you. It promises rest and offers rot. It whispers, stay here, you've earned it. Even as your soul begins to wither. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, you give comfort one more day to steal your fire. But fire doesn't wait. Destiny doesn't beg. And greatness does not bloom in safe soil. So if your life is asking you to rise, rise. Rise even if your voice trembles. Rise even if your knees shake. Rise because your future is watching and it is begging you not to betray it. You are not just the product of your circumstances. You are the architect of what comes next. That is the power of choice. That is the difference between the remembered and the forgotten. The world will not remember you for what you dreamed. It will remember you for what you built, for what you endured, for how you stood when standing came with a price. Think of Helen Keller, blind, deaf, locked away from the senses most of us take for granted. And yet, she lit the world with her voice, because her spirit stood even when her body was confined. That is what we're made of, steel wrapped in skin. And the ones who rise are not made of something different. They are made of something decided. They made a decision to stop surrendering to the narrative written for them. They rewrote their script, page by bleeding page, until the world could no longer deny their presence. That is your power. Not to change everything overnight, but to begin. Begin with one habit, 1 hour, one decision, one stand. Because a storm doesn't announce itself. It begins with pressure, with energy, with a shift, and then it moves. You are that storm. You are not a product of luck. You are not an accident. You are not just anything. You are possibility in motion. You are a force that hasn't even scratched the surface of what it can become. And that's terrifying because it means responsibility. But it's also glorious because it means freedom. The kind of freedom that can't be granted by another person. The kind of freedom that can't be taken away by a boss, a law, a system, or a number in your bank account. The kind of freedom that is born only when you choose to stand now, not later, not someday, but today. And what does it mean to stand? It means showing up when you have every excuse not to. It means keeping your promises when no one is watching. It means living with such radical honesty and purpose that people can feel your truth before you even speak. This is how you rise. You rise when you refuse to let your wounds define you. You rise when you own your shadow as fiercely as your light. You rise when you stop outsourcing your power and remember that the most important title you will ever hold is not CEO, not partner, not influencer. It is creator of your life. When you claim that title, you stop waiting to be rescued. You become the rescue. You become the author, the engine, the warrior, the flame. You stop looking at other people's lives through a screen and wishing, and you start building something so real, so vibrant, that people one day look at you and believe again. And don't misunderstand, this is not about chasing applause. It's not about performing for the masses. It's about becoming someone you are proud of when the lights are off, when no one's clapping, when it's just you in the mirror and the question, did I stand today? That's the only scoreboard that matters. Because in the end, it won't be the trophies you keep. It won't be the titles you earned. It'll be the weight you carried, the moments you stood tall in the fire, the lives you lifted just by refusing to fall. That's legacy. Legacy is not about being remembered. Legacy is about making sure others can rise because you showed them how. So stand. Stand for yourself. Stand for your future. Stand so loud and so proud that even your ancestors feel it. That even your doubters have no choice but to sit down in the presence of someone who refused to stay down. You will never rise until you choose to stand. And now you know. So rise now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when the stars align or the voices around you finally believe in you. Now, because readiness is a lie. Readiness is a mirage that keeps your destiny at arm's length. And belief? Belief is not something they give you. It's something you give yourself. You earn it moment by defiant moment every time you move forward without evidence, every time you act in faith, every time you get back up bloody, bruised, breathless, and still keep walking. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more affirmation. You need a decision. The kind that redefines your life not by what you wish, but by what you will. A decision that says, this ends with me. The cycles of fear, of settling, of silence, they end here. A decision that refuses to let another sunrise pass without passion, without purpose, without pressure applied in the direction of your dream. Because there is a moment in every great life, a defining moment, where the soul roars louder than the fear, where silence breaks and the ordinary becomes unforgettable. And maybe this is yours. This moment right now where you stop consuming and start creating, where you stop wishing and start becoming, where you rise not just for applause, but for alignment with your highest truth, your deepest mission, your most defiant power. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are becoming. Everything you've endured wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Every closed door didn't mean you were unworthy, it meant your fire needed time to build. You were not buried, you were planted. And now it's time to break the soil, tear through the surface, and rise like you were always meant to. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. Let them question your timing, your voice, your path. You don't need them to understand. You need only to continue so relentlessly, so fearlessly, so vividly, that they have no choice but to one day whisper, I was wrong about them. Because you weren't made to be understood. You were made to be unforgettable. And yes, you will fail. You will fall. You will make the wrong move, say the wrong thing, trust the wrong people. But better a flawed life lived on fire than a perfect life spent asleep. You do not rise by being flawless. You rise by being faithful to the fire, to the calling, to the climb. And in that climb, when the wind cuts your breath and the doubt digs deep, remember this, you are not climbing alone. Every soul who ever chose to stand, from the dreamers who died nameless to the legends whose names echo through time, they are with you, cheering for you, burning in you, because when you choose to rise, you carry more than your own hopes. You carry the unspoken dreams of generations past. You carry the legacy of every ancestor who never had your chance. You carry the silent prayers of 1,000 hearts who just need one person to prove it's possible. Be that person. Be the one who stands. Not because it's easy, not because it's safe, but because it's necessary. Because the world does not change by the hands of the convenient, it changes by the courage of the convicted. So, take the step, Make the move, speak the truth, shatter the silence. This is your summoning. Your rise begins not with the world kneeling to your greatness, but with you standing in it. No more waiting. No more hiding. No more shrinking to fit inside the lives others have designed for you. You were not born to kneel. You were born to stand, to lead, to build, to burn, to rise. And you will never rise until you choose to stand